Square Enix's president says it will be aggressive in applying AI. Oh, dude. Okay, let me let's talk about this a second. Get this nice and big here. It's one of those things that it's important for us to address on the constant, unfortunately. You know, as I said when I brought this article up. So let me just read this title real quick, then I'll talk about this. Square Enix's president says it will be aggressive in applying AI. In the short term, our goal will be to enhance our development productivity. So, I think that most of us as gaming enthusiasts and consumers, and even a lot of people that are in the workforce of the video game industry, understand that this is a pretty critical thing for us to be addressing right now. There are a lot of ethical concerns that surround quote unquote AI. I don't like that it's been called that. AI is not, this is not sentient technology. It's not, I don't like the fact that these types of technology being incorporated have been deemed AI. It's a weird play, but it is what it is. That's what it's been, coined, and that's how we keep referring to it as. So, we have to just kind of roll with it. But nonetheless, these AI forms of technology that are being incorporated in game development, it's not going away. And I think the important thing here is that we continue to fight on the front of ensuring that companies are incorporating and integrating this technology in the production process in ethical ways. And I've said from the get-go of, a lot of the ways that it's being incorporated is these developers have to still incorporate uniquely created assets.
Be whoop. This is the robot uprising. Hail your machine overlords. Be whoop. Be whoop. Be whoop.
The humans are dead. What up, dog? Yo, I was like, what is that, bro? Flipping TTS. Yo, what's up, Psych? Happy New Year's, bro. What's going on, man? Be whoop. Be whoop. What's going on? Yeah, so man, you got me distracted there. Yeah, happy New Year's to you too, buddy. What I was kind of building on there was I've been pretty outspoken and advocating for the fact that any of these corporations that are planning on heavily using AI, they still have to be utilizing AI based off of it building off of uniquely built assets for each project being made by these corporations, right? So whether you want to talk about the voice driven stuff in the game, so a lot of all the voice acting stuff needs to still be done uniquely driven, uniquely built table of voice acted assets, right? And then build off of that with AI or whatever. Same thing with artwork or text or or like written stuff or whatever. It needs to still have its own, each project still needs to have its own unique set and table of unique assets for the AI to build off of. It doesn't matter in what way the AI is being utilized. I think it's still, that's the only way that you can say that it's being utilized in an ethical type of way, Yo, what, you like that, dog? Kratos. Oh, dude, we already got the spider up there too. Yeah. Got some new stuff put on, dude. Just a couple. So the thing that worries me about Square in particular, you know, before we read all this, you know, Square has been a company that I honestly feel like their the quality of some of their stuff has been declining. They personally, for me, somebody who's been a fan of Square for a long time, and then I see them make something like Final Fantasy, you know, 16, which really wasn't a Final Fantasy game. It was like a Devil May Cry game with a Final Fantasy skin on it. You know, those are things that are concerning to me. I know they still do good stuff, but there's concerns there too. And then they've been very public and outspoken about doing things like being full force ahead on NFT, blockchain, Web3, you name it. You know, play to earn, that kind of stuff is disgusting. And because, as I've also stated before, those are also things that I can see being incorporated in a mutually beneficial way for us as consumers and video game enthusiasts, but it hasn't been done that way. And honestly, the video gaming infrastructure is not set up in a way for it to be incorporated in a very mutually beneficial way for us as consumers and video game players. So the way that it has been incorporated by almost every company so far, because we all know that a couple of years ago it was super, you know, that was the trend. Those were the trend words, the, you know, NFT, blockchain, Web3. It was just a scamaz, dude. We were just getting scammed by all these companies that figured out they could make extra money off people by incorporating these mechanics. But Square has not pivoted off of these, you know, things that they want to be full force ahead on. They've been very publicly outspoken about how they still want to be going full force into NFTs, blockchain, all of that kind of crap, Web3, and I've not seen a company do it right. I haven't, to where it's mutually beneficial for us and them. And so that on top of, you know, a company like this also saying that we're going to be aggressive in applying AI, I can only assume that they're not going to be doing it in a very ethical way. I could be wrong, but I do think that, you know, well, yeah, yeah, I'll touch on that in a second, Syke. I also think that, you know, it's I don't know. It's a really rough thing to address. We don't know for sure how it's going to be applied. Maybe they are going to do it the way that I say that it, you know, and many other people feel like it needs to be done, and applying it in an ethical manner. But I have a lot of reservations. A lot of these bigger companies, whether it be Microsoft or Square Enix, or a lot of them have been very outspoken about the fact that you know, we just saw where Xbox literally was promoting their indie, you know, division with AI generated art, and they had to pull it down because they started getting blasted for it. You know, it's like one of those things. Like, yeah, how are you going to promote your indie, you know, your indie world with AI generated artwork that we, you know, wasn't based off of, you know, internally generated assets or anything. It's pretty gross. Yo, what up, Reagan? Okay, and to address this, before I read this, to address what Syke said, okay, but too many people were still scam up and take my money, though I agree with you. But this is what they also do. They also promote it in a way that, you know, and I'm not going to disagree with you. People need to be more educated, be more apt to educate themselves about these kinds of things before they just dive in and get scammed. I absolutely agree. It's one of the reasons I do what I do. I try to educate people, right, on the things that I think people should stay away from, or the things that I think people are okay to support, right, or the things that people should even be supporting, right? But we also have to understand, and this is something the gaming industry has done to people for a long time, they build it up to be something that is what it isn't, right? So they get people amped up about something to believe a premise that isn't actually there. They get people to, you know, they put a ton of marketing, a ton of, you know, sales pitches and stuff like that behind something to get people to believe something that isn't actually what it is. So it's not anything new for the gaming industry, which is, again, why I do what I do. Try to get people to, be a bit more hesitant, and not just buy into everything that maybe a gaming corporation is going to tell you, rather than doing a little bit of your own research and everything first. But this is what they've traditionally done to people too. So is some of the blame going to be on those people for getting scammed themselves? Absolutely. People need to be, have more sense to them in taking time to educate themselves about where they're going to be investing their money at. And I agree with you. But these companies are good at getting people hyped up about stuff and getting them to spend money. This is what they do, So it's a rough go at it. We'll read this real quick. Square president Takashi Kiryu says the company will be aggressive in applying AI in its development and publishing efforts in the future. Kiryu, who was appointed as the Final Fantasy firm's new boss in June, of the previous year made the comments in its traditional New Year's letter from the president. In the letter, the exec explains the new initiatives he has put in place since his appointment, including vetting games in development and accelerating a plan to provide more resources to its internal teams. Kiryu also said Square Enix was expanding knowledge sharing with the goal of standardizing its processes and enhancing our efficiency, as well as encouraging closer collaboration between its content and publishing teams. This is like a scary term when you're talking about using AI as well. Perhaps the most eye-catching section of the letter, however, mentions the president's ambitions in the area of artificial intelligence. We also intend to be aggressive in applying AI and other cutting-edge technologies to both our content development and our publishing functions, the exec wrote. In the short term, our goal would be to enhance our development productivity and achieve greater sophistication in our marketing efforts. In the longer term, we hope to leverage those technologies to create new forms of content for consumers, as we believe that technological innovation represents business opportunities. Earlier in the letter, Kiryu spoke to about the impact of generative AI such as ChatGPT, which he noted had quickly expanded to cover images, video, and music. I believe that generative AI has the potential not only to reshape what we create, but also to fundamentally change the processes by which we create, including programming, he said. The president did not share any specifics about how it could be used for AI game development, but Final Fantasy VII Remake's co-director has previously discussed how it built an AI tool for character facial animation and lip syncing. Square Enix's previous president, Yosuke Matsuda, used last year's letter to express the company's commitment to blockchain technology. Here we go. This is what I was talking about just a little bit ago. In the latest letter, Kiryu said the company would continue to support these efforts. In November, Xbox announced a multi-year deal with InWorld to build an AI dialogue and narrative tool at scale, which it said would enable it to deliver an accessible, responsibly designed multi-platform AI toolset to assist and empower creators in dialogue, story, and quest design. Xbox's chief financial officer, Tim Stewart, later elaborated at the Wells Fargo TMT Summit. On the developer side, you think about the millions and millions of dollars in a game spent on localization, script, how you think about players moving from point A to point B, and you have non-player characters have dialogue. AI can take care of all that. You now say, I need the player to get from A to B, and instead of having to write thousands of lines of scripting or code, you just have the AI get you from A to B. Things like localization and putting things in new languages. When we think about game testing, a million AI bots can run through a level of Minecraft and find where players get stuck, where they spend money. How they think about the level. So this is, pun intended, game changing for the developer. Yeah, I've said all along, dude, there are ways in which it can be incorporated that are going to be very, very good think about something like the premise of, I'm good, Reagan, how are you, friendo? Happy New Year. Happy 2024. You think about maybe like a recent game like, let's talk about Starfield. Let's talk about Starfield real quick, okay? They've got like, 1,000 planets to be discovered to go look at in that game. You think about how at least 9/10 of them are very bleak, don't harbor life or anything like that. And, the potential for AI to kind of take the reins and really flesh out and build fully driven worlds that you could explore, full of life and things like that. Again, I think that the way to do it ethically in the industry is to have tables of assets built up with, you know, different life forms and, you know, maybe, you know, whatever, dude. It could be minerals, it could be you name it, anything that could populate a planet, you know, foliage, you know, anything crazy. And then you let the AI also kind of mesh and mold all that into different things too, and self-generate these planets, right? And then it can turn all of these like planets that really a lot of people had found to be very bleak and unentertaining in the game into something to be explored in the game, right? And it does make it a much more efficient process. It doesn't take, you know, nearly as much time to have dedicated people go through and create each individual world. And it's still done in an ethical way, which all the assets are basically created by individuals, right? So there are ways for this to be done appropriately, but there's always concerns about what AI is being done here to just circumvent the process of incorporating uniquely designed things by people to be incorporated in the games, and to just circumvent having to hire people. And it's a slippery slope, man. I think that we've got to be very, very conscious about what's going on here, hyper aware of what's going on here. And, you know, if companies deserve to be called out, they need to be called out, right? So as far as Square Enix is concerned, I have great concerns about the way they're going to be applying AI in their development process, because I've been concerned about Square Enix for a good number of years now, for other reasons. And I think it's easy for me to say personally, they are not the development company that I fell in love with whenever I was younger. And I've seen it happen to too many other giant companies, you know what I mean, that have just turned into something that, in my opinion, shouldn't be supported anymore, you know? And I think Square is teetering on the edge of becoming one of those companies. They still make good content, but there are things that are happening, I think, that are worrisome, basically.